Welcome back, Patriots. We're looking at Candace Owens and Destiny sparring over the American education system. Let's roll it.
Like, black people rioting and looting in the streets because of what happened to George Floyd. What you are dealing with is people that are being intentionally misinformed about circumstances so that they are emotionally reactive. Because, look, I have children. I have a 3-year-old. I know what it means to be ignorant. My child can't read. He is emotionally reactive. And if you can turn an entire population into an emotionally reactive toddler that has no facts or no understanding of history, you can make them do whatever it is that you want them to do. So
I guess it's interesting to me because it feels like we would say the most mind controlled people in America are actually like young white college kids. And those guys have lots of literacy and lots of education. So I don't know why we wouldn't send black people into like the colleges and turn them woke instead of.
Actually, no. But that's actually interesting. I'm glad you brought up college because if you look factually speaking, Americans are getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber, and yet we have never handed out more degrees, which is interesting.
What do you mean when you say Americans are getting dumber? What do you mean? By
what
that?
I mean talking about in terms of passing tests, passing exams, the literacy level in America, everything is actually going down. And like SAT scores, everything is going down. And which is why they're now like, let's just abolish the SAT, this sort of a thing that they're
sure, which I think they've gotten rid of and brought back in some places. Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know if the same people getting illiterate are the same people that are going to college and getting degrees.
Yeah,
it's depending on the level of literacy, but Candace Owens is correct here, is that for the first time in 100 years in America, the IQ score has dropped. And furthermore, yes, high schools have done away predominantly with the SAT and ACT, as well as the colleges and universities, because they found it discriminatory against certain races and ethnicities out there. And furthermore, some high schools across the board, across the nation, have done away with the high school exit exam because students aren't able to actually pass it. Furthermore, universities have removed the entrance exam for English and mathematics because students could not pass into the entry-level English and math courses at universities. So she is 100% without a doubt correct on the idea that Americans are not as literate as they used to be in the past. And what Destiny is saying here is, well, I'm not so sure that the same people that are illiterate are the same people that are going to college and also the same people that are voting, which was a prior argument. But they are. They're not as illiterate as the prior generation was, and they are going to college because the bar is being lowered. And that's why you see grades inflated in the high school education system. So an A would be in actuality a B would be in actuality a C, and a C is just heck a D, F, or even a C if you're lucky. So let's roll it.
We're handing out degrees, and yet people think they're educated when actually they're just brainwashed bots, and they're quite stupid. They are stupid, and that's the magic of a college degree, is that it makes people think that they're smart, right? And it's astonishing. You really should examine that, how every decade within America people are getting dumber and dumber and dumber. And one of the things that my colleague Matt Walsh did, which is really incredible, is he read a letter that was written by a civil rights soldier who's like 17 years old or 18 years old, had no education, and it sounded like poetry. Like, unbelievable the way people used to be able to speak and write before we created the Department of Education, which in my view, it is there just to exist to turn you into a mindless bot that will serve the government's interests.
I mean, we can say that, but the reality is aside from the cultural thing, on the economic side, America has like one of the most productive workforces, maybe the most productive workforce in the world.
When you say productive workforce, what do you mean by that?
Productive in an economic sense is how many like units of things are produced by 1 hour of labor from a U.S. worker. And I'm pretty sure U.S. worker productivity is higher than it ever has been. I think that continues to climb. It's one of the biggest complaints about lack of increase of wage growth, for instance, is that wage growth doesn't seem to have tracked to the massive increase of productivity of the average American worker or the median American worker.
So I've seen Sam Seeger on the Minority Report kind of utilize the same thing that Destiny's utilizing here in terms of productivity. But the one thing that's oftentimes left out is the idea of manufacturing connected to the technology aspect. So productivity has increased, even though the wages have kind of stayed stagnant and haven't increased at the same level, because you have that idea of technology being introduced into the workforce. And you expect to see that kind of almost turn into an exponential function based on artificial intelligence that's being introduced into the workforce as well. So we have that, but kind of Destiny's argument here starts falling apart because when you look at the correlation coefficient between somebody's IQ and where they're at in the workforce, is the higher the IQ, the more kind of cognitively demanding that job is in terms of skills. So on the upper extreme of IQ, you're kind of looking at attorneys, you're looking at engineers, you're looking at, accountants, versus when you start dropping in IQ, the skills within themselves tend to actually become a lot simpler. And that actually even correlates, meaning your IQ, to how much you are in terms of being productive within the workforce as well. And he's correlating productivity increasing, but again, there's other variables that are being introduced into that. But the correlation of somebody's job to their productivity is about moderate. So you're looking at 0.4. There's other IQ tests that you could be introduced, like the ASVAB in the military, for example, that I think has a correlation coefficient of about 0.7, meaning the relationship between the two are very strong. So Destiny's argument is actually not a good one here, other than the fact of production, but that falls apart with technology, as well as manufacturing and robotics inside the manufacturing facilities.
I just think that, like, if you wanted to control, it just seems strange that we've got two completely and totally diametrically opposed ways of controlling society. One is to make black people specifically, I guess, illiterate so that they are easier to manipulate, even though I seriously doubt these people even vote that much. And then the other is to make people the most literate by sending them to college and have them read.
They're not the most literate. That's what I'm telling you. They are not the most literate.
You think people that graduate with college degrees can't read well?
Yeah, what I'm telling you is yes.
Yes, 100%, dude. 100%. That doesn't mean there's not some universities out there where the students aren't super literate. That's not what's being said here. The professors, and just go speak with them, and they will let you know. You have students graduating high school going into university systems that don't know how to read or write. Guaranteed. There's a reason why they don't do the high school exit exam anymore, like I mentioned previously. There's a reason why they don't do the entrance exam into these university systems, because they have to take about 4 prerequisites before they actually ever get to the the actual class they need in terms to graduate. So Candace Owens is resoundingly correct here. I want to side with Destiny. Trust me, nobody wants to say that the American education system is crumbling. Nobody wants to say that, hey, people are going to college, illiterate. But that doesn't mean that they're stupid. That doesn't mean that they're just not as literate as they were in generations prior, which Candace Owens already mentioned.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. They're not the most literate.
What would I look up to verify that if I wanted to see, like...
You got to do the research in your own time.
I have done the research.
Like, I'm happy
to... True.
What do you mean?
He hasn't done the research. There's about, God, I don't know. You can go back even to the 30s on this. Heck, there's a book called The Bell Curve. There's some things in there that I don't agree with. Great book called The Bell Curve. You can also look at Thomas Sowell's work, Steven Pinker as well. So I don't know if Destiny's trying to make a bluff here or not, but the research that he's done is just not correct then. I can also understand him looking at the studies and going at the numbers going, well, people seem on average to basically be kind of either stagnant or somewhat upwards trend in terms of graduation rates, and basing that graduation rate off literacy scores. But as I just mentioned, is that students aren't receiving the education that they were in generations prior. A lot of this stuff has been brought down and pared down to a level just so they could pass through the system. For example, if you're teaching a mathematics course, they're not learning the level of mathematics necessarily that years prior were taught, because the level of understanding is so low that you have to pare down the knowledge that you're giving to students just so they could pass through the system, because nobody gets held back anymore. So everything's being pared down. It is not at the level, again, that generations were prior. I know I'm repeating myself, but Destiny's actually just flat out wrong here. I can understand why he's looking at data and misunderstanding it, but still, nonetheless, wrong.
It's not true.
Just what I said. As an owner of a college degree, median wage comparing to that person is
just because you own you can go to college for 4 years and spend $100,000 getting a degree in gender studies. Please do not tell me that you believe that person is educated
First of all,
or highly literate.
Like, more than half of degrees awarded are awarded for STEM-related things. Number one. Number two, $100,000 is a way over the average for paying for any degree.
Well, that's what I paid. So I'm just.
What did you go to school for?
The average annual, as far as I'm concerned, you can look this up. But if you are going to school, you're probably spending in America about $30,000 a year, minimally, if you're out of state.
Isn't the average amount of...
Just look it up. You got Google, right? What state are we in? What state are we in? Miami? Let's go to look up University of Florida. Pardon. What state are we in? Florida?
Yeah.
Go to University of Florida out of tuition rates. Because what do you mean? $100,000 sounds about right.
Yeah, but we're looking at... So one, this is for...
$28,659 out of state.
Correct.
$30,000.
Yep. So one, this is the out-of-state tuition.
Yes, that's what I just said.
Number two, hold on. This is the sticker price. Nobody pays this for school. You've got Pell Grants. You've got different types of student aids. You've got tons of different scholarship initiatives. Very, 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 very few people actually pay any of this price. I'm right,
but you're trying to make me wrong.
Well,
I paid that price.
Right. No, what I'm saying is
I paid that price, and I paid back my loan. So you're not going to convince me that very few people are paying this. My sisters paid that price and they paid back. So you're just saying like, and yes, granted my school was more expensive. It was, I think, $35,000. There you go. The average, $29,000.
So if we look at the
you can just say
average,
you were right,
sure.
Candace.
So 51%.
You're not going to get hurt.
Yeah, so 51% of bachelor's degrees.
Candace is actually doing pretty good here. I don't always side with Candace. I really do like her. And I'm not just, hopefully my bias isn't seeping in here, but Destiny is just wrong. And again, as she mentioned, nothing happens. Like, just say that you're wrong and just move on. It's not a big deal.
Students graduated with an average of $29,400 in student loan debt, right? So that's only 51% of people, I guess, that acquired debt. And then their average debt is about $29,400.
Are you, I don't get what the point is of you doing this.
The point
are you trying to say?
The point I'm saying is that, one, the sticker price for an out-of-state tuition school is not what I would use as the median price you need to pay for a four-year degree. Number one. Number two, very few people actually pay.
We didn't talk about that because I said this is the median price. I said it is utterly absurd that people are spending $100,000 to come out with a degree. We weren't talking about. We weren't debating the median price.
Sure, but number one, you're going for out-of-state. If I'm in-state, my tuition is $6,400.
I literally said out-of-state. I actually said out-of-state.
Yeah, but why do I care about that number?
I don't get where you're going. The point of when we started this conversation, I was just saying that there are individuals that are going to school that are spending $100,000, right?
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
In gender studies.
Yeah, but we're talking about, I'm sure, and I could probably find people with $1 million student loan debt that got an even dumber degree than gender studies and basket weaving or whatever. But in general, that's not the cost of a college degree. And in general, college degrees confer huge wage premiums onto the people that earn them. These are
no, they don't. And that is the reason why you have so many young women that are, and this is...
I think Candace this is where she's going to be wrong, and Destiny's actually right on that, is that you going to college, the odds are that you're going to earn more money as if you didn't go to college. It doesn't mean that you couldn't do some blue-collar trade schools. Those are actually extremely well-paying jobs currently, because I don't think that many people are going into the trades anymore. I mean, there's a high demand, and when there's a high demand, you can charge up the prices a lot more for those high-demand jobs. But Destiny is correct here on this one. I'm curious as where Candace is going to go on this, because there's a lot of data that shows if you go to university or college, they're actually going to end up being paid more than you were as a high schooler with a GED.
This is why, I think that what you actually do here is harmful. And I'm going to tell you,
okay,
let me explain.
Hold on, I'm sorry, because I've done a lot of research on college degrees and a lot of research on education, and every single thing that you're saying sounds really good on like a culture war perspective. But when you look at an actual economic perspective, when you look at the actual firms that hire people, and when you look at the actual median wages compared to people that even have some college education, all of it is me going to school. All of it, that's great for you, but for the average American, that's just not true. None of these numbers are found on average. You will never find data that supports the idea that high school earners on average are out-earning college degree earners, or that 90% of people are going to school for basket weaving.
Do not listen
Why
to
would
him.
you go to trade school?
Learn a real craft.
Why would you go to trade school?
Please go to trade school. Please do not end up. And I talked about this on stage the whole time. And I'm on the universities. I did 2 universities this year. Please, if you do not know what you want to do not go spend a ton of money putting yourself in debt to go into society already having debts that you need to pay off to make $25,000 a year in a career path that you didn't even know that you wanted to take.
Why would a 4-year degree
because you're listening
$25,000
to Destiny. Like, and by the way,
because they choose a major that they haven't researched before, and so when they graduate, there's no jobs being offered because they chose basically a major that's absolutely meaningless, which again was gender studies, lesbian dance theory, underwater basket weaving. There's a lot of majors out there that are completely meaningless. They're very niche, meaning there's not a lot of jobs out there in the market for them. So this is actually very nuanced now. Before it went from Candace was being right to Destiny being right. Now they're both technically right, because if you don't know what you want to be, you shouldn't just go take out $100,000 of debt, which, by the way, if you file bankruptcy, student loan debt does not disappear, into an education system at which you don't even know what you want to do. Whereas maybe you can research, hopefully during high school, what you want to be, kind of more of a parent's job than it is the education system. But Candace is right, you go to a trade school, make 6 figures. There's nothing wrong with it. You become a welder, like a carpenter, a machinist, like all these jobs are in high demand. Go work for a union. So it is split down the middle here. I just don't know where this conversation is going to go.
Thank you for saying she's right, Destiny. I am so right. Please go to trade school and don't listen to this and listen to me, because I bought into this rhetoric because I was in high school and it's going to be great. You're going to go and you're going to take a blah, blah, blah. And then when you get out in the real world, it's going to be great. You're going to have better positions and you're going to make more money. It is a lie.
What did you go to school for?
I don't care what website he is looking on, like to tell you that is a lie. The overwhelming majority of people, and I'm so glad people in the chat are saying that I am right, because the overwhelming amount of people are shocked when the real world then smacks them in the face, and that lie, that dream that was sold to you by your guidance counselors in high school, that it's going to be so great and you're going to be able to make more money, and you just start to realize that it is absolutely crap. And I really would like to say, do not disrespect people that go to trade school, because I just thought that was just
disrespect anybody who goes to trade school. What are you talking about?
It's just like
wait, why are we virtue signaling on this? You shouldn't go to trade school because if you go to college, you make more money.
That's not true. It's just not true.
What do you mean it's not true?
That's not true. You can quite literally, you can be the person that goes to trade school and you will make so much money doing jobs that actually bring value to society.
Computer programmers don't bring value to the society. Mechanical engineers don't bring value.
Yeah, but this is where Destiny falls apart, is that yes, they're bringing value in terms of creating a product that does benefit society, like Bill Gates with Microsoft. Like, nobody's disregarding that, but those people are becoming engineers, are on the higher spectrum of IQ, and you just got done talking about literacy rates and how basically the literacy rate has declined, and those people with literacy rates are going into the education system, meaning predominantly universities, at a level that they're not supposed to be at. And by the way, a lot of this conversation was about, black people voting and then transition to them being illiterate. That's even for white people. That's for basically everybody. But what you find fascinating is that from high school, because they're illiterate and they have low GPAs, they have low test scores, low exam scores, and they don't know what they want to do, through affirmative action, which predominantly is based on your race, they're getting into universities at which they're not able to compete. And so they're taking out student loans, having to sit there and move from a STEM major, of which he's referring to here, of engineering, mathematics, computer engineering has a lot of mathematics in it, to ultimately a liberal arts major. And so when they graduate high school, when they graduate college, they're not graduating with a degree that's actually going to earn them more than what their student loan was, which is a basic principle of personal finance, is that if I'm going to take out a $60,000 student loan, my starting salary of my career when I graduate college should be $60,000, but that's not what's happening. And so the education system ultimately is harming a lot of people across the board, especially black people, through affirmative action, because again, they're not able to compete at levels of which they're being accepted to in the university system. Furthermore, he keeps talking about firms, firms are hiring people, blah, blah, blah. Well, firms hiring people actually have a certain prerequisite in terms of GPA before they even look at your resume. So he keeps talking, for some odd reason, the upper spectrum of IQ, when actuality, the firms that wouldn't look at your GPA, the firms that wouldn't look at your IQ aren't in the upper spectrum, they're in the lower spectrum. So it's a very confusing argument. I feel like we're going all over the place with this, where partially they're right, partially they're wrong.
To society,
I am not, if you want to be a mechanical engineer, yes, but if you know what you want to do and you want to be a chemical engineer, I'm not saying nobody should go to college. I'm saying too many people are going to college. They are putting themselves in debt for things that they don't 100%. Even know what they want to do, and they get out into the real world and they can't make any money, and it is a struggle, and they are suffering. I'm watching these girls. I know that people on the right like to mock these girls who are crying on TikTok, who are saying like, I got out of college and here's how no money that I can make. I didn't know this. I actually feel bad for those girls, because we have to just stop lying to people about what college is. It's been inflated.
When you look at black community stuff, isn't in the black community, isn't one of the reasons why women are starting to out earn black men is because they're going to school and they're going to college and they're actually getting degrees and they're getting real careers? Isn't that one of the biggest contributing factors? I
don't know that.
Okay. Okay. Final question.
I think, by the way, women, by the way, all across the board are graduating at higher rates than men. Mm-hmm. But I do want to say, because I do want to make a point about what you do.
So she's going to go on and talk about something totally different here, but she started off being correct. I mean, the literacy rate has declined in America and also has the mathematic rates. They're not where they used to be, and that's why I kind of preface the average IQ score of an American citizen has lowered for the first time in 100 years. The bar through the education system has drastically lowered. No more SAT scores, no more ACT scores, no high school exit exam, because people just can't pass it anymore. There's nobody being held back. You will hear educators, especially predominantly in the middle school system, say that kids are just being passed through that don't, you guys, when I say that they don't know how to add, I mean that in all literal sense. They don't know how to multiply and add. 8th graders going into high school, they're just passed through the system. The same thing is for seniors. I've taught seniors at different schools in different districts, don't know how to draw a straight line, don't know what a triangle is, doesn't know what a circle is. I'm not asking the specifics of a square. I'm saying literally just draw a triangle or a circle. Circle, triangle, not a clue. Seniors graduating, don't know their times tables, don't know how to work a calculator. So yes, Candace was right on that end. Destiny is right in the sense of, on average, college earners or college graduates are going to earn more than somebody from high school with a GED. That is predominantly true. But where the argument kind of gets lost is that even though people are illiterate, they're not at the level as they're what they're supposed to be going into the university system, which also comes from professors themselves. They're still getting jobs graduating. But what people have found, and this is mostly for Gen Z recently, is they're not willing to hire Gen Z because of a lot of the variables that are coming along with them. They're not able to do the job. They are illiterate. They don't know how to problem solve, meaning the mathematics side of things, but taking that mathematic practice and applying it to different problem solving. This has been going back even to 2007 with Steve Jobs saying, hey, look, I can hire somebody that's able to listen and go, well, I can follow those directions and get the job done, but they're not able to problem solve. They're not able to problem solve because they can't actually problem solve in the mathematical sense, even in just a real world problem in the less mathematical sense. So Destiny is wrong on that end. And also with the productivity, again, I would implore him to kind of look more into the AI, the technology, the manufacturing that's allowed human beings to increase productivity on a level. And I don't know if that correlates a one-to-one to the actual laborer doing the job themselves, but also it doesn't help his case because a lot of those laborers that doing those low skill jobs, even though productivity has increased, is that is a lower IQ, and kind of gives credibility to Candace Owens' argument is that people are leaving high school with a lower IQ and filling those jobs at the lower end, but the upper end is having a very big problem of trying to fill jobs, like we heard from Steve Jobs in 2007, but also going forward by current employers not hiring Gen Z because they're not able to do the job either. So this is a long form conversation that I think could have been more productive with more information from these two, but a heck of a job from Candace Owens, heck of a job from Destiny. Always love hearing from both of them. If you loved hearing from me here on the Bald Brad channel and I deserved your subscription, we would love for you to subscribe. We also have a membership, 99 cents a month if you want to join us for a 1 hour podcast each and every morning and then videos throughout the day. And lastly, we'd love to hear from you. Who do you think won this argument? Who do you think was right or wrong? Would love to hear from you again in the comment section. Hit that like and subscribe button. Share this with your friends and family all over social media. And folks, I'll see you next time here on the Bald Brad Show.